So how do we strengthen the regulatory framework to ensure that we protect borrowers? So those are some of the matters that we are looking at. Today, as we have said, we are here with the Office of the Prime Minister, represented by the ED and his delegation. I understand he's also joined by the Public Service Commission, which of course a statutory body which is in the Office of the Prime Minister to advise the Prime Minister. So we are happy, Mr. Indongo and your delegation. So specifically, the questions that we are asking is in your view, what is causing the high level of debt among civil servants? Is, in your view, is any factor that you can or attribute this high level debt of civil servants to? That's one. We want to understand as a custodian of public service staff rules. The Prime Minister is the custodian of the staff rules. We want to understand whether the deduction union members will also, or union representatives will also make their submissions, not today, but later in the process, because this is a process that is going to take a bit of time, so that we can get a broad view from all the relevant stakeholders to inform how we are going to resolve and address these social problem that is facing our civil servants and the society at large. So that's where we are, honourable members, and that's the purpose of this discussion, Mr. Indongo and your team. And at this juncture, I will want to hand over to you, and maybe to introduce your team, and also start with your presentation. Thank you very much. So maybe before we come there, let's also know the members who are here of Parliament. Yeah. So myself, I'm the chairperson of this committee, Ipumbushimi, and I will want us to start from that end there, and then going this way.
Good morning. My name is Michael Mulunga, member of the committee.
I'm Tate Venani, a long-standing member of Parliament.
Good morning. My name is Ims Nashinge. I'm a member of the committee.
Yes, good morning. My name is Velema Mutenya, member of this committee.
Good morning. I'm Sharini's Bush, a member of this committee.
Good morning. I'm Marta Itope, a member of this committee.
I'm Sirka Osiku, a member of this committee.
Thank you, Chairperson. My name is Shivute Ndongo. I'm the Executive Director in the Private Office of the Prime Minister and an Acting Accounting Officer of the Office of the Prime Minister. I'm wearing two hats at the moment. My colleagues, they will introduce themselves.
Good morning, Honorable members of Parliament. I'm Alfred Shirorwashi Hambuma. I'm the Deputy Executive Director in the Office of the Prime Minister, but more on the Department Public Service Commission Secretariat. And also at this juncture, I want to register the apology from the chairperson because he's having another engagement at the same time with the Ministry of Gender that was pre-planned before this. But he has delegated me to attend on behalf of the Commission. Thank you.
Good morning, Chairperson and members of the committee. My name is Petrus Mohepa. I'm the Deputy Director from Public Service Management Department. I'm standing in for Ms. Joyce Mukubi, who is the Deputy Executive Director for the department, who is out there for other engagement. Thank you.
Good morning, Chairperson and all the committee members. My name is Juliana Lucas. I am just here as a member of public that is very much interested in this committee and what they have to discuss. But I work for a microlender, a registered microlender, but I'm not here as a representative of the organization, just a member of the public.
Conscious. Yes. Chairperson, I have to indicate this from the onset that when we received these questions, we thought it was not a mandate of the Office of the Prime Minister. That's why there was a back and forth issues. We thought it was the view which was wanted from the Minister of Finance. But it was only sorted this week that we should come and give the view of the Office of the Prime Minister. But unfortunately, the view we are giving is not entirely for the Office of the Prime Minister, but it's only for the small people who sit quick and go through the questions for us to get the answers. So we prepared presentations where we were now trying to respond to each and every of the questions set. Question number one, what causes the high level of debt for households, especially for civil servants? I have to applaud the member of Parliament who posed these questions, because all along we thought as civil servants, we are like non-exist, comparable to the colleagues in the market, especially colleagues from the SOEs, colleagues from the private sector. Because if one here, you are a civil servant, oh, it's them. We are always regarded as adopted children of this nation as civil servants. So the team from Public Service Commission, Secretariat, and the team from Public Service Management, they tried to come up with the questions when it was. Unfortunately, we could not do the full research on what are the real causes of the debt when it comes to the civil servants. It's unfortunately, we have no control over expenditure of the staff members. The 1/3 chairperson we indicated, it was working well up to somewhere in the 2006, 2010, whereby previously 1/3 was a mandatory, and the Ministry of Finance was in a way set that once the deduction approached 1/3, even if you implement it from wherever you are, it will not go through. But of recent, we found that any deduction posted, it just go through. And we really have experience of staff members receiving a net of around 800, 500. Now imagine somebody in Windhoek, but your net is 500. Your transport to work is already over 500. Don't even talk about the household needs. So this really deductions system now at Ministry of Finance, I think it need to be vigorously looked after, and maybe a decision could be made either from the Parliament or from the Minister of Finance, so that they can really put up a gap. Even 1/3 to me is too small. At least if it was a person could be allowed to live with a 2/3, and 1/3 could go to the deductions. That's number one. The second was an easy access to credit due to guarantees monthly salaries, because as Chair will put it correctly, that they found it's more secure to deduct from somebody's salary. But they were deducting without any concern of how much a person will be left with. So, and the issue of low salaries, I think it's known by the honorable members. Low salary of the civil servants. I should indicate here in government, we have grades. Honestly speaking, grade 15 to grade 13. In any other setup, it was supposed to be abolished. So that when a person is entering a government, you cannot enter a government with a salary of 3,000. Because even the labor is not allowing for the cleaner, for farm workers and other casual workers to be paid this amount. But I don't know why it was allowed in a civil service. Because our low length, 15 up to 13, we already pity for them to see how do they survive if they cannot have something extra on their pocket. Many civil servants borrow for consumption, not for investment. Because once the net he received it, he has nothing to invest. And our banking system also is, I don't know, maybe it needs also to be looked at, because a person with low salary cannot get any assistance from any bank. They end up only going to this macro lending. They are the ones considering. And then in the process, while they are going to make lenders, there is also a way of going to this unregistered shark loans. Some I even run from the office. Maybe as a senior officer in my office, I can start borrowing to the colleagues who cannot make the end meet. And what happened at the end of the day? They have to surrender their ID and their bank card. When the salary comes into the account, immediately he has to take his portion before he give the card back to the staff member to see how much is left on the account. So those are some of the issues really we were discussing, and we picked it up. The second question, is the deduction code an enabler of high debt among civil servants? My answer here is yes. As I said, if the Minister of Finance could put up that cap to ensure that even if it's a 50% deduction, the person, then automatically that deduction cannot go through, then the person will be able to breathe. Otherwise, if it continues like this, as I said, we have really staff members whose net amount is really we don't want to hear. So, and it contributed also even to coming to work. We have staff members who are unable to come to work. Some of them, those who have energy, they walk from as far as Sevendeland, Achterland, walking like 2 hours to the office. Because here is afraid to be given unpaid leave. And immediately after 5 o'clock, you could see people, they are not jogging, they are going home, running because he's living very, very far. So the deduction code is really one of the enablers. There are many others. As we said, financial control and financial literacy. I don't know why it's not really being made a mandatory. I went for press training course in Botswana, and the government of Botswana, they have a policy, I think it's a law. All the sectors, especially militaries, police, their financial standing is being controlled by the government. Meaning you cannot have as low as how much amount of money set up. And it's going very well since these are the people from the discipline line. So their finances is being also watched by their supervisors. But in the country, Namibia, there's no one is watching over your back. Whether you decide to spend your salary in a day, that's your own business. So this deduction code really need to be looked at. Is the current regulatory framework adequate to protect households against predatory lending practices? Yeah, the framework could be good in paper, but the implementation of it, that's why I say we need to watch over this framework to see whether is it really serving the purpose it was created for. Because, as I said, the rules and the regulation can be there, but the adherence to it, or watching to see, are these still relevant as it was the intention from the beginning? So that either it could be either repelled or it could be strengthened so that it will assist the civil servants. The fourth one was, is the interest rate charged by micro-lenders to civil servants fair? We are saying it's not fair because some they are charging 30%. And 30% is of the salary, not of the net amount. Because I always, my concern is always the net amount, what the person can take, or what the person can live on. But if he's charging 30% of the basic salary, this person is contributing to pension, he's contributing to tax, and he contributes to social security. But he's charged 30% because these institutions, it's like they are not being controlled. Yeah, they are not really being controlled. And as I also mentioned earlier, that there is more to this because these unregistered cash loans, they are the very, very serious draining our people. And I think it needs to be controlled. This interest, it's really, really killing our people. And as I said, you find even a higher rate of not coming to work, just absenteeism, because the person really has no, literally, sometimes he woke up, he has nothing on his pocket, nothing on the account. And if he cannot make it to go to work on foot, then he stay at home. Some they call, they give any type of reasons. Either to say, I'm not feeling well, or I'm taking my child to the doctor, just because the person is unable to move from the house. I think, in short, Honorables, this is a short preparation we made, but we are free to engage. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ED, for that presentation, short but comprehensive presentation. I see there are some new members here who have not introduced themselves, and some familiar faces. Michelle, so can you introduce yourself?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, Honorable Shimi. My name is Rachel Metzler, and I'm representing the Micro-Lenders Association of Namibia. I don't know, is there anything else that I should still say? Thank you. Honorable Shimi used to be my boss at Bank of Namibia.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Good morning, honorable members, and our distinguished guest that side. My name is Sebastian Karupu. I'm a member of this committee. Thank you very much.
This is now time to engage the colleagues from the Prime Minister's office. We have may have some follow-up questions, some suggestions to make. Yeah? Yeah. Honorable Nashinge, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, ED, and your colleagues. Thank you for your input.
I wanted to find out if somebody from the Public Commission is saying something, or just the OPM. Sorry, Honorable.
I wanted to say, even though we are providing technical advice to the Commission, we are part of OPM. So what was presented, we did it jointly. So, but if there are questions, that's exactly what the Commission are also pushing. Because in terms of the Constitution, it's an autonomous body.
You are violating the Constitution.
Okay, so that's a different discussion now.
Yes.
We can call them, because they also report to us, so we can call them.
No, let's get a budget. Really, you need to divorce that office. No, thank you. Mine really just to say it is encouraging that we are all concerned, even though there are no signs of pushing ourselves in a newer direction to improve. I think it is never too late. Perhaps mine really, I just wanted to add that a question and a recommendation to rather say, don't we think there is a need for us to also implement something similar that you touched on what Botswana is doing, where Office of the Prime Minister or Public Service, you have Namfisa and the Minister of Finance, because this thing is becoming a health crisis as well in terms of mental health. Young and old are today committing suicide because of the financial crisis they are finding themselves in, both in public sector and private. And it's a huge crisis. We are losing brilliant minds simply because we don't have a system in place that can guide, that can assist our people as to how best to run their own affairs. Because as a state, the state has a responsibility to make sure that the well-being of the citizens is a priority. Because if you have everyone has mental issues, we can't be a productive nation. The one on the micro lenders, you have a situation where the borrower is taking care of everything, is exposed to everything, and then the micro lender is just smiling to the bank every other day. The risk that they may face, no one really say you take responsibility of this as an entity, as an institution. I think that's one thing that we need to look into as well. But also you have, as I said earlier, the institution, the ministry. So I think perhaps what we need to do is I don't think we'll be violating the law to say we are getting into the privacy of our people, but to really say, young men, you are now a deputy director, and we see you want to buy, because it's not only about borrowing to consume. It is a whole lot of, perhaps to say, we see now you want to buy a car for 2.2 million, but you can only afford 800,000. I think you need to rethink on your action and decision. I think perhaps it's about time we move into that direction, because before it becomes a serious crisis. I don't think that would be bad. Perhaps that is the direction. And maybe public service also, they can have a directorate that really focuses on counseling people that are finding themselves in debt. Looking at even local authorities in our municipalities, we have somebody's water bill is at 30 million, and you think over and over, where will I get 30,000? I mean, where will I get this money to deal with the situation that I'm facing? And no one speaks to you. No one is coming to encourage you. With the Church, Roman Catholic, they had this thing of there's like a little thing you go in and you pour out all your sins. No one will be, I don't know if these people can see your face, but you can really just get in there and open up and speak and say, these are the crimes I have committed in the eyes of my Creator. Perhaps we need to focus to look into something similar. Young men, young women, come here, you can always go into that little office. No one will see your face or something like that, and understand, and so that we can see how best we can assist our citizens. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ED, for the comprehensive presentation. In your presentation, you mentioned that government should do away with grade 13 to grade 15 because we feel that it's outdated. And I'm sure the Public Service Commission is the one who is mandated to ensure that they advise government to do away with that. Why have we not taken that decision to do away with those grades if we saw that there was a need to do away with them, and we still have them up until these dates? So my question is basically, why have we not, or what's stopping us from doing away with those grades? Thank you.
Chairperson, thank you very much for this opportunity. This is quite a very, very important discussion. And when the ED was presenting, I actually even thought we could have combined OPM with the Ministry of Finance, because it seems most of the issues and the real challenges that have caused the situation in which we are today are directly monitored under the Ministry of Finance, and obviously possibly NAMFISA, who obviously will come in later. But OPM being obviously the custodian of all ministries, and not only that, obviously taking care of the affairs of public servants, I think ED, I should say, at a certain point, we need to develop a culture of innovation in the office of, in all offices, in government, in almost, because we cannot have a situation noted, civil servants suffering for a longer period of time, but there seems to be nothing that we are doing in terms of action, right? Because we are taking note, people are suffering, they are getting into debts. There might be the issue of, yes, the code, access to the code. We have picked up that people are even exceeding the 1/3 as per the law, but still there's nothing that is being taken, action being taken to protect. Because surely the cost of life is what is pushing our people to get solutions, financial solutions. They need money. Where do I get money? so they get to the available opportunities. And that is why I'm really concerned and very, very much disappointed to say that we lack innovation that must act fast to get solutions when we find ourselves in problems. Now, no assessment, it seems to be there's no assessment that was done or currently being done in terms of this situation. People are in debt, but there's still no assessment being done. No interventions being done, practical interventions to protect our people. So this time around, I want them to understand possibly if there is any policy interventions that, because Public Service Commission is also here, that is supposed to advise the president, government on the affairs of civil servants. Have you done any policy interventions or policy recommendations to ensure that then our people are protected on this? Not only that, the micro lenders, when they are registered with NAMFISA, what control and oversight and monitoring that indeed they are performing as per the law? Who deals with that, and what reports do we have in terms of them fulfilling their mandate? Because we have situations on the ground where I'm telling you, as we are saying, ED, a person taking 500 net, and when you look at that person's payslip, it's letejo. Right? Even on the payslip, which we government have control over, and there's no interventions that have been done. We are the one that brings this. We are the ones that act on these systems, and we see that, and it's just going smoothly. That's why I have a problem with this thing, honestly speaking. And the other one is then, therefore, the control on the micro lenders, because these are business people. Their interest is must make money. How do we control them? That is my question at this point in time. Chairperson, I'll come back later.
Very good. Give the ED a chance to respond, and then we'll come back again. Yeah. So that we don't overwhelm him with too many questions.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I have to start with the question from Honorable Nashinge. I think in government, of recent, we introduced a division called wellness. I'm not too sure whether it's escalated to the ministerial level, but currently we have a wellness committee, which is not properly constituted or capacitated. I hope if it could be capacitated, probably maybe it will do much more better to able to detect and to assist the colleagues. Because you find a colleague is not coming up to work. All what we thought is a measure we put in place, unpaid leave. He did not take unpaid leave. You find this person, even if he's on unpaid leave, you could really see the person, his morale is down. He don't even care anymore. He come when he wish, and he go as he wish, but we are not like investigating to see what is really causing, what is the problem with this colleague or this individual. Some of them, they only change their attitude. Find the person was a very jovious person, but all of a sudden you find he only come in his office, lock himself in the office, and he keep quiet, he start performing. I think it's some of the contributing factors. It's known that we have a bit of crisis, and as the Honorable Nashinge put it, it's not late. We could start somewhere, and just to improve the situation of our co-workers. The question of Honorable Mulunga of why we still in government have grade 13, grade 15. These are the entry positions for the cleaners, for the admin officers, but the starting point, it's really the one which I said. These people, you look at their face, and they'll check what is his basic salary before the deduction. And these are the most people who are only surviving because of microlenders. And I wanted the colleague, Mr. Shiambuma, to elaborate more on these three grades I mentioned.
No, thank you very much. In addition to what AD indicated, the government or Office of the Prime Minister is in the process to review job evaluation and grading that was implemented in 2013. Soon that process will kickstart, and through that process, some of these lower grades that Honorable is indicating referred to will be hopefully taken care of, because recommendation will be made how to address those challenges. And then I would like to also reflect on the deduction code we are hammering on. Maybe I should indicate that most of the deduction code that is implemented or has to do with mandatory deduction, for instance, tax deduction, contribution towards pension, social security, and also for those members who are members of medical aid, and maybe some other contribution, for instance, towards the union and so on. But we should also be mindful that staff member out of their own, we are living in a democratic society, they go out to a commercial bank and take out loans, and these loans sometimes they are being granted without this commercial bank or macro lenders conduct assessment of whether the person will be able to pay back or not. And this also sometimes result in the high debt that we are talking about. So maybe that's also one of the contributing factor, because for those micro lenders, you don't need to have a deduction code. Person need to go make some arrangements and then come and pay without going through that. Maybe that's something that we should, especially when we are talking about the regulatory framework, to see how that can be addressed and protect staff member. And also with regard to whether the Public Service Commission has advised, yes, it's not, nothing was done at this stage, but Commission have taken note through the Office of the Prime Minister. I'm sure something will come out of this discussion and action will be taken moving forward. I think with that, I submit.
While you are there, Mr. Chinuna, I think the deduction code that people are concerned about is not the statutory ones like tax and things like that. I think those ones we understand, because I think what we are concerned about is that there are specific financial institutions that have got direct access to the salary of the civil servants. Yeah, and that's only in public service. You won't typically not find it in the private sector, where a financial institution has got access to my salary. So in the private sector, the money will go to the bank first, and then the private sector will, I mean, the lender will have to get money through the bank, either through a stop order or a debit order, things like that. And that applies to insurance and other loans. In the case of public servants, some micro-lenders, and some of them are owned by banks, have direct access. They have been given direct access to a person's salary. And therefore, that's why me as a civil servant, I can afford to have 5 loans from these micro-lenders, because they are not worried that I will not pay, because they know that the moment the money is in my salary, it is actually it doesn't even have to, the money is already there. The Minister of Finance will just enable them to deduct directly and distribute the money to the micro-lender. I think that's the concern that people are flagging. Yeah. Honorable Bush.
Sorry,
yeah. Oh, okay. Sorry. Edie, I thought you were.
Honorable Antenya asked if we have an innovation department in government. We do have one, and they are doing very well. Of recent, they were investigating the issue of BIPA, as we are talking on the registration of any company. as we are talking, the colleagues are having a media briefing today on the opening of our one-stop center at BIPA, whereby all the other institutions are having now a desk there. That's now NAMRA, Social Security, and it's run by OPM, Innovation Team. The manager there is a staff member of OPM. So I think the information is that they are doing very well, because a person can move in the building and he come out with a registered company. It's no longer of issue, go to Commander for Social Security, go to Minister of Finance for NAMRA. They are now sitting in one office. You just move from table to table, and then by the end of the day, you are done with everything. So our innovations, and we are still capacitating it. Currently, it's at the level of a directorate run by the director. And on the issue, the Office of the Prime Minister also came up with something called a SACCO for civil servants. We did the investigation. We visited the countries like Kenya, in Tanzania, and South Africa. They also have this a SACCO within their countries, various SACCOs. And then also the Prime Minister came up with something called NAMSACCO. It's also a sort of a micro-lender for the civil servants, because this one is more owned by the members themselves, and they are themselves who are controlling it. They can borrow for their studies, they can borrow for anything. But unfortunately, it's not doing that well. It's not reaching to the targeted staff members, because they are already under the micro-lenders. Most of them, as the Honorable said it, we don't want to mention the name of the micro-lenders. There are many of them in the country, but honestly speaking, it seems there's no control over them. They are the ones who are controlling the civil servants. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Chairperson. So I just also want to indicate to you that to control somebody's salary is challenging as an employer. So I mean from the employer side. Convention 190 of the International Labour Organization was ratified by Namibia to make sure that the employees in the public service, their mental capacity so is catered for, so including financial boundary. So when we were doing training session of this convention to the public servants, so the issue of running finances was also on the table, where some members were saying that they were going through financial difficulties. So at the other side, this convention is protecting employees so to run their own financial affairs. But at the other side, we as employer, we also want these employees to perform at the workplace without any mental problems. So I'm now coming to the issue of innovation, where Ms. Amtenya was saying, what is that we are doing to make sure that 1/3 of the salary is still not exceeded. So it's very important to let the employees in the public service not to lend more, since some macro lenders, you get some who are charging 22%, maybe example, some charging 30%, some unregistered ones, they even go as far as 40%. So, okay, maybe this is something that will make the government to call together all the parties involved in this, like NAMFISA, Minister of Finance, Minister of Justice and Labor Relations, and see how can we ensure compliance to whatever agreed percentage that will be agreed, instead of having macro lenders who are charging different percentages of whatever money was borrowed by staff members. And also, there are some macro lenders who are doing good, who are advising lenders that no, you have exceeded the the maximum amount money that you can borrow. You cannot borrow now, so can borrow when your net salary is up to this level. But there are some who can still allow until your net salary coming in your bank account is $500. So how do we as employer now make sure that somebody's salary cannot be deducted by macro lenders up to that level and so on? So, but otherwise, from the OPM's level, we are trying through this intervention of NAMSACO, like what my ED was saying, through the innovation committee that we are having, and also through the wellness committees that are there. I know there are some OMAS that have wellness committees, so they are not only concentrating on sport, but they are also concentrating on counseling, so including financial literacy. So through financial literacy initiative, so there's such a body, but otherwise we are still tend to be directed what to do further. I submit. Thank you.
The Ministry of Finance and Afisa were already here, so in fact we started with them. They have already made their own submission, so we have heard from them. Yeah, and I think in terms of the intervention, the Ministry of Finance, probably about 4 months ago, I read in the newspapers that they actually stopped the deduction code, but I think there were some legal challenges there. I don't know how far they are with the legal challenges, but I think from that side, I think from their side there has been some interventions. But I just wanted to comment on what you said. How do we ensure that we don't we control somebody's salary? The mechanism that you have is that you allow somebody to have access to somebody's salary. I think that's the control key that you have. Yeah, as I said, it's only typical in the public service. In the other sectors, lenders don't have direct access to somebody's salary. So that's a key that you have. Yeah, and that's why the Labor Act gave you that authority as an employer. Make sure that if there are direct deductions from somebody's salary, it does not exceed this, because you have the key. I think that's probably where we need to start. Honorable Bush?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. Once again, Edie and your team, thank you for the presentation and the remarks so far. Chair, mine is just to build on to what Honorable Amutenya said. Having listened to your presentation with the insights coming from OPM and Public Service Commission, I tend to agree with Honorable Amutenya that I too had a little bit of more expectations, especially OPM being the custodian of interministerial coordination and being responsible for OMAS, together with public service being the custodian of government employees. This motion really speaks to decent work. It speaks to social protection and cohesion, and it really speaks to the dignity and welfare of the civil servants. I think when all of us in the room can agree that the cost of living has increased and the value of the Namibian dollar weakens every day because of internal and external factors that as government you may have control and may not have control over. But as OPM, I really expected that coming here this morning, there would have been a level of preparation around interministerial coordination, even though Ministry of Finance has its specific mandate with regards to what it can do insofar as the conversation we're having this morning. I really wanted to hear more from OPM around how are you leading interministerial coordination around OMAS for us coming together. Chair, most of the time the problem is not implementing, it's coordinating, because we are working in silos. And that was really my concern. Having heard that OPM also acknowledges that this motion really speaks to the dignity of employees with alongside Public Service Commission. But I've not heard, have you done research? Do you have data that has informed your planning insofar as Public Service Commission looking at this 30% that we are charged with insofar as interest rate? Where is it coming from? How do we deal with that 30%? So I just felt that I did not hear much of whether you have data that informs your planning or your response as to how you can better position the employees that are under the auspices of OPM. I so submit, Chair.
Thank you very much. I also expected a deeper conversation with the OPM, and that has to do with an analysis to be made by them as to what security risks are micro-lenders willing to take. Because they are having an economic process of making money, helping civil servants to access needed capital to do ABCD. But there seems to be a averseness in this country, and especially from the banking sector, that banks, micro-lenders, no one wants to take any risks. The risks are only taken by the lenders. So will, for example, and I want to ask from the OPM, if we cut off these salary deductions totally and completely, if you want to micro-lend me money, go to my bank, like a normal bank account, and you get your deduction from there. Will micro-lenders survive? They won't. So the problem is they are not ready to take any risks. The bank is not ready to take any risks. The financial sector is not taking any sufficient risks. If you are buying a car or a house, the bank tells you, the car that you are buying is 2017 model, and I'm using a model, 2017 model. But this car is getting old. For us to finance this car, put up a 30% deposit. What is the risk that the bank is willing to take? No, none. We give you the money, but 30%. Micro-lenders, they come to you, or you go to them, you are looking for money, and say, okay, fine. Whatever you want to get from us, make sure that we have the $7,000 per month deduction from your salary directly. So the conversation with the Public Service Commission, the Office of the Prime Minister, is that micro-lenders can exist. They are doing a core function of lending money. But why should they access people's salaries? Why should they access people's salary? Because the problem is the access of people's salaries that are causing these mental problems, mental pressure on people. Because somebody just access your salary, does not negotiate with you, and start deducting, and you have a $700, and you know that this person is not going to survive anyway. What happens? So is the OPM not considering saying that people's salary shouldn't be touched by any lender, for that matter, and that they can go and make bank arrangements, micro-lenders go and make bank arrangements with the banks? Perhaps that's the conversation that we will have to have in this country.
Thank you, Chair. Mine will be short. I don't want to repeat what my colleague have said. Edith, thank you for your presentation, but I wanted really to hear more from the Public Service Commission also. How are they protecting civil servants? And I'm concerned when the Prime Minister's office, as my colleagues have said, have acknowledged the problem of civil servants. And it seems we are not able to do anything to protect them, as my colleagues have said. And this is having negative effect on service delivery to our public. And it has been an outcry that the community, the public, is not happy with service delivery of civil servants. That means they are demoralized. Now, OPM, Edie, when you talk about the Minister of Finance, the impression I got is like they are the big brother. They cannot be a big sister because sisters listen to each other. is a big brother who does not listen even to the office of the Prime Minister. Did you ever engage them to discuss this problem of civil servant? That's my question. Thank you.
Very good. Edie, I think we can now revert back to you. The big brother, big sister business, Honorable Ausiku.
Thank you, Chair. I will start with the question of Honorable Ausiku. The discussion, the decision to cut off the salary, the deductions from the salaries, it was an arrangement between Office of the Prime Minister and Minister of Finance. That's why we came to that. That decision could be already implemented, as the Chair said, so that some micro-lenders, they went to court. But that's the view of the Office of the Prime Minister and the Minister of Finance to say, let's allow civil servant to breathe. If there's any lender who wants their salary, as the chairperson put it, they should get it from the bank, not from the payslip. Because honestly speaking, if you saw our payslips nowadays, it's very much worrisome. That's why if a civil servant wants to take a loan from the bank, in most cases, the only thing they want to look at first is your payslip. Are you able to to save us this lending money? But finance and OPM, this was our initiative. And I think we are going forward to do that, to see if we can give the civil servant a breathing space when it comes to their money. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I agree with Honorable on the comment made on expectation. And maybe I should just, what I need to state from the Public Service Commission is that it's in the process to try to reposition itself. As was indicated by Honorable Nathinge, Commission is autonomous and it's supposed to operate on its own, but current arrangement is not the case. So it's in the process to reform itself. Like last year, it has conducted a retreat where even founder members of the Parliament, founder fathers of the Constitution were invited to make presentation of what was the thinking by then when they are saying the Public Service Commission is there to advise government. So I'm sure once that is concluded, some of this concern will be addressed. And then also I agree with Honorable Venani on the issue of if the, for instance, deduction code is taken away, whether this will survive. But we should also try to understand what was the rationale behind allowing some of these micro-lenders to have access to salary. Because I'm sure government has also a responsibility to ensure that some of these small institutions survive. So maybe that's where we should go back to drawing board and see, maybe before OPM and government can decide what to do moving forward. But I agree, maybe it's high time that we should remove some of those unnecessary, but and then remain with the mandatory deductions that is necessary. I think that's all I can say for now. Thank you.
Yeah. Now, Chairperson. Now, I don't know, because our focus here is then to identify if the current legislations that we have are indeed protecting our people. And that is what myself as a legislator want to understand from the OPM, if indeed, as per your assessment, the legislations that we have, the current laws that we have, are indeed protecting our people. So that one, I really want it to come out. Is it that the laws, the policies that we have are indeed sufficient, but then the problem is possibly the implementation of these laws, the enforcement of the laws? We as lawmakers, are you saying we have done what we are supposed to have done, to enact laws that protect our people and safeguard the welfare of our people, but then possibly there's an aspect of implementation that is not taking place. That one, I want it to come out from this engagement, Chairperson. And then possibly, I want to really call ED if Office of the Prime Minister can really conduct a comprehensive national, assessment on this in debts, the risks, how many of our civil servants have suffered, and what possibly strategies we need to come up with to rescue our people. We can all agree societies or our people, their families are breaking down because of these debts. We have employees that are obviously committing suicide and they are depressed. Majority of them, to be honest with you, being our teachers who are supposed to teach our children. And I wonder how an effective teacher can effectively teach a child when he's depressed on a daily basis. Police, security personnel who are supposed to protect us, and they are in financial distress. What does it tell? They can be bribed. Because then they are already stressed, financially stressed. We're talking about nurses who are supposed to take care of our health and themselves are not psychologically healthy because of this financial situation. I strongly believe there is an urgent action that must take place, and it must really start from OPM. You are there to safeguard the welfare, productivity, and the dignity of public servants. And this financial issue is seriously affecting all of us, affecting our society. So I want, if you can really take up that issue of the assessment to take place. But what I want, the affirmation from this engagement, if you are saying the laws that we have, the legislations that we have are indeed safeguarding, then what we need to do is how best we need to strengthen the oversight, the monitoring, and the enforcement of the laws. For instance, the 1/3 that we are talking about here, if it could have been implemented, honestly speaking, I don't think we would be in a situation like this. If the micro lenders could have been strictly controlled, because they still register within our systems, within our institutions. And if they could be controlled, because to them, they don't care about the welfare of the, and I must say, they don't care about the welfare of the people. If they cared about the welfare of the people, they would not continuously give a person a loan when the person is already unable to pay. They don't care. To them, it's money. They want to get the money. And it's a serious thing that when we are given that mandate by the Constitution to protect the welfare of our people, whatever the situation is. Therefore, we should do that. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Nasinga.
Thank you, Chair. DD, perhaps if you could just elucidate a bit on the Convention 107, 190. Yeah, 190. Perhaps if you could just take us through a little bit, because I want you to do so. I have a problem with these things that we have signed up to every other time, even during the budget discussions, we spend a lot of money paying membership to all these things that commitments that we have made in terms of membership. Now, if IOL has some of these conventions that are also stopping from executing our obligation as states towards the well-being of our people, then we need to review or submit somehow to get rid of some of these things. But I think the issue of the state getting involved is not to say, no, today you can't buy, this month you can't buy mealie meal, or you can't buy meat, but really just to focus on the well-being of our people. Now, look at this. You have a commercial bank that is allowed to own a micro lender business that has access to salary code of government. And on the other side, that bank, the state through GIPF has an interest. As a state represented, you colleagues given the responsibility to run the affairs of this country on behalf of the people, do we really sit and do some, how do you call it? Not the background check, but it's, how do you call it?
Assessment or investigation.
Assessment, and just to understand if we are to agree to this and that, where are we going to find ourselves later on? Because now we are stuck. On the other side, we are partners, and then here we come, we say, but this is wrong. Now we are stuck. Our friendship on the other side is compromised. I think we have a serious problem here. And we need to agree, you colleagues and ourselves, we need to agree to perhaps review some of these things so that we are able to face the challenges head on. Our people are suffering. The reality on the ground is that I had an opportunity to visit southern Namibia last year. I visited the borders. And the police officers that we mentioned here are deployed there to safeguard our territorial integrity. And with these little salaries, they must feed themselves in Noordhoever, Klein Manasseh, NN. And then they must also feed their wives and children wherever they are, Sauyema, or Kankolo, or Nanjaba, where I come from. Now you ask yourself, how do they divide these little salaries that they are earning to be able to feed themselves and their families back home? They must go to those guys to borrow, to consume. Yet, the system, public service, I don't believe there is a directorate, there's somebody, a team that really just focus on the well-being of Namibians. How do we make sure that we have a motivated workforce? How do we make sure that we have a happy workforce? How do we make sure that we have a workforce, at least 80% that wakes up every other day, can't wait to get back to get to the office? As a government, we need to have something like that. A group of social workers, whoever, how to call them? Psychologists, industrial psychologists or whatever, in there to advise and assist office of the Prime Minister and public service. I think it's about time we agree that we have, if you look at the US, every other year, they are creating new jobs in the system to create opportunities, but to be able also to understand the social setup of their people. We don't do that. Now we are saying we have this Convention 190, we can't do anything. I don't think that is correct. Colleagues, we need to reform, we need to agree, we need to assist each other to really just do something. And if we are to come up with reform and policy, should not only just focus on public servants, but on everyone as a country. And where we can have, it cannot be correct that the NAMFISA, for example, does not have a close relationship with the Office of the Prime Minister or Public Service. Yes, they are to regulate, but what are you regulating? Because we have also a culture of limiting ourselves. Oh no, our mandate. But we have a country, because if the people in this country are happy, are progressive, they are feeling safe, then it means there's a good opportunity for growth as far as business is concerned. So we can't just limit ourselves to our mandates, this, our mandate, that. We need to work together as a team, as people, to make sure that everything else is flowing smoothly, than just limiting ourselves. So, therefore, in conclusion, perhaps my proposition or submission for us to have ministerial civil servant financial well-being framework that we must put together, so that ministries, identified individuals come together, I don't know how many times a year, and look at some of these problems. Like now, as we were just talking about suicide. If a state does not know why these people are, if 40 people committed suicide, the government does not know why 30 committed suicide and why the remainder committed suicide, then we have a serious problem here. And again, as Office of the Prime Minister and the rest, you and the unions and everyone else in the private sector, I think there's a need for us to collaborate and work together and face this problem head on. I think we can't limit ourselves to some of these things. If we can't amend those things, then we must get out of these organizations so that we are able to work for our people. But also the other ones that I was thinking of is the credit extension. Honorable Shimi, I understand you. The caps, is there no, based on the grades, how can we implement a system that prohibit an individual who is earning this not to borrow that much? In a single year, you are allowing the person to borrow three times and he's walking home after all the deduction with 500.
That's why you have the 1/3 limit. It's based on that principle.
Yeah, but is it now fully implemented?
No, the ED is saying it was working up to 2010. Yeah, and from there it's no longer working.
So let us have a team dedicated to deal with these issues in the Office of the Prime Minister or Public Service, and their job is really to stress about those problems. I think that will work. Then we are just going on, if I'm okay, if it's okay, it's okay. It's not good enough. How do we sleep? And Sunday we are going to church. And God is saying you must love your neighbor. That is not love. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson and colleagues. We are talking about debt stress, if not debt faced by civil servants. This is caused by many factors, in my view. As a country, we have adopted an economic policy or an economic model, which we say is a mixed economy, where private sectors and individuals compete for profit. We are also faced by the situation where we import most of goods that we consume. that lead to cost hike when we import it, from where we're importing it. That this include even agriculture products. We import it mostly from South Africa. And there is fuel cost. And then when it reaches us, there's things very high. As a nation, when you look at our wage bill, this is the highest compared to the bill or the portion that we use for any production. The wage bill is very high. We are trying our level best to rise the salaries of our civil servants. But because we consume everything from outside, coming from outside, that led to everything being very high, costly. And these now micro lenders and other business sectors should take into consideration that we should at least consider the livelihood of our people instead of just running after the profits. 30% is too much. It's too much for 30% for a product or any service that you're giving. It's too much. This is really leading to the stress of our civil servants. Our civil servants are earning. Some are earning 10,000, 15,000, even 20,000. If you earn 20,000, at least we're supposed to have a decent living. But everything is high. So you are forced to go and borrow. Where you are borrowing is even very, very much high. The rate is very much high. So it's up to us, lawmakers, to look at this economic model, which is a constitutional provision. We have to look at it, and if need be, we need to revisit it in order to save ourselves. We should also regulate those business people or entities. That's the only way we can save our people. So we can quarrel, we can do what, but I think everything goes back to ourselves as lawmakers. Thank you very much. That's the comment I wanted to make.
Yes, briefly. Chairperson, ED, the innovation I was talking about mostly is really on us finding solutions timely to resolve challenges and problems that we find ourselves, especially this one. ED, we have public servants who have finished all registered micro-lenders. Finished all of them, and they moved down to unregistered individuals. And when they go to the individuals, then the individuals follows them physically, demanding for their debts. And these are our civil servants. And we have civil servants that, young civil servants that have opted to resign from public service in order for them to access their GIPF package, in order for them to pay those debts, and then get back to the unemployment and start looking for other opportunities again, jobs, attending interviews with the young graduates. What I'm trying to say here is, what opportunities can we create that a civil servant who is in a very critical situation of these debts can access a portion of his GIPF pack, specifically coordinated one, to reconcile these debts so that we can rescue our people honestly speaking, these people entered debts cycle at their early age of getting into public service, and they are there forever, unfortunately, trapped there. And how can we create a special package or a special coordinated pack, I don't know how to call it, option, where one can apply through OPM, apply to have a portion from GIPF and is paid directly to these micro lenders, so that we rescue these young people, we rescue families that are depressed, breaking down, so that we also save lives of people that have suicidal thoughts because of this thing. What I'm trying to say is the innovation aspect of it, so that we rescue our people. Thank you, Chairperson.
Before you, maybe your final words and your colleagues, and maybe respond to some of those comments and questions. Maybe one thing that we need to try and emphasize is that what we are mostly concerned about is the high level of debt among civil servants. Because if you look at the majority of Namibians, they don't have access to credit, and therefore they are not highly indebted. If you look at the employees of in the informal sector, they are not given money by micro lenders, and therefore they are not highly indebted because they don't have access to that. And therefore the problem really here is the people who are indebted are those who receive an income, a regular income salary, but specifically civil servants, because somebody has got direct access to the salary. I think that's where the issue is. Yeah, and maybe also going forward, it will also help this committee, ED, if we can perhaps get maybe data on how many civil servants have deductions that exceed the minimum threshold or the maximum threshold. Are there many? Is it maybe 20% of the civil servants, or is it 10%? If we can get that data, I think that will also help this committee to think about how to deal with this problem going forward. So, ED, over to you. But that's where the biggest problem is.
Thank you, Chair.
People in the informal settlement don't have access to loans.
I will start with the Honorable Amtenya's question on the registration and the regulations, whether they are protecting civil servants. My personal answer is no. The legislation is not protecting the civil servant. If it was, it could have kept the 1/3 as it was there. But currently, it seems there's no control. That's why micro-lenders are now in charge of the civil servant salaries. Because they are the one, you go to them, they give you the money, they decide how much they take from your salary. So that means the legislation and the regulations, they are not really helping the civil servants. So it need to be looked at. And the issue of research and the survey, as I said, the questions just reached us last week. This week there was still a back and forth, because when we went through it, we just thought, no, this is finance ministry's questions. Only yesterday it became clear that we should come and give you the OPM's view. And as I said, this is not an OPM's view. We are going back, we are going to do the research and do the data corrections on the civil servants. How is their net? Concentrating more on their net amount they are getting from their pay slips. It's easy, we have information with Ministry of Finance, but we are going to do that as also the Prime Minister. We really attend to that and provide the correct information on that. The second question of Honorable Nashinge, I think I should give to the colleagues to respond.
The convention.
The convention.
So the convention. Yeah, so thank you, Chair. I'm only talking almost on behalf of the Minister of Labour, but so because this is the custodian of labor relations in the country, But being trained for that convention, I'll just comment. Just a bit. So that is a convention that was ratified during the time of COVID-19. We might be aware that COVID-19 brought about a lot of issues on mental health of people. So especially on job losses. And that was also after the economic downturn that so Namibia has gone through. Maybe that's why Namibia, as a member state of ILO, has ratified that convention that was looking at the how can the employers in Namibia can take care of the mental health of its people. So that's where there were different boundaries identified in that convention, and financial boundary was also one of them. That's where we were encouraged as employers in the member state of ILO, so in Namibia, that we must come up with some ways, even though we know that financial boundary that the employer cannot really cross over and tell a person how to run your finances. But at the other side, we are also looking at the mental capacity of our employees. So how do you perform at work? So that's where at the Department of Public Service Management, we are having a division called wellness. Yeah, wellness. So my colleague look at the issue of wellness across OMAS. So that's where all OMAS and the regional councils have got a division or sections that deals with wellness of employees. So and financial wellness is also one of them. That's Convention 190. Yeah, thank you. I submit.
Yeah, maybe moving forward, the wellness thing is a problem because it's more of a voluntary social club of the employees. I'm coming from public service. It's not helpful because even to send somebody who's using alcohol, abusing alcohol, or having just emotional breakdown, it's a struggle to get these people supported or even to release funds. So perhaps we must also look into reforming it and make sure that it becomes also part of, is it Schedule 12 or more of a structured setup within the ministries, OMAS, with relevant individuals with the relevant skills and capabilities to manage. Because what you have now, because of that setup, I can go, that one was beaten by the husband, by the wife yesterday. So it's a problem. If you can just reform it, also look into really through public service and structure it properly, perhaps that will also help. Yeah.
We have kept you here for a while.
Thank you very much.
You came on time, and and we delayed you.
Thank you very much. We have to thank you for bringing us in, and you prompted our mind for us to do more research as the Office of the Prime Minister. As I promised, we will going back, compose a team which will go specifically to get the correct information of what is really causing the civil servants to be where they are now today. And then we'll give you the feedback on that. Thank you.
Very good. No, we appreciate that. We appreciate the fact that you came. I know there was a confusion, but eventually we sorted out that confusion. So thank you very much, and we will be looking forward to receive your submission, because I believe you are one of the central entities that are key to this issue, because we are talking about your staff, the civil servants, and how do we make sure that their financial well-being is looked after, their mental health is looked after, because if their financial well-being is not in a good state, it also means that the their motivation levels will be low, productivity will suffer, and the whole of Namibia will suffer. So thank you very much. We look forward to your submission. I hope Honorable Mr. Chituka is going to give us 5 minutes just to stretch our legs while he's setting up. Mr. Chituka, 5 minutes for us to stretch our legs? Yeah, very good. Thank you so much. And we also want to apologize to you. Yeah, thank you. honorable members. So as I promised before that we first wanted to hear from obviously we have invited representatives of the workers' unions. So we now have the Namibia, or the Teachers Union of Namibia, who is also representing, I believe, the Public Service Union of Namibia. The other union members, we will have them later at a later stage. We also invited them, but unfortunately they have asked for a postponement. But we now have Mr. Chituka, who is, as I said, representing those two unions, to speak on behalf of his members, the members of his union, but who are civil servants. So we now want to hear from the employees. Over to you, Mr. Chituka.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairperson, Mr. Shimi, for the opportunity. Speaking is Shandero Chituka. As I am rightly introduced, I'm the Vice President of Teachers Union of Namibia, but today I'm carrying two unions on my shoulders, Teachers Union of Namibia, as well as PSUN. So, as you rightly noticed, I came a bit late, so I might not, do my, observation very well, because by the time you introduced yourself, I was not around. So I already tender my apology in case I don't follow the right protocols. Yeah, let me observe the presence of the Honorable Parliamentarian, Honorable Venani, and let me also say former Parliamentarian, Honorable Jimmy, the current chairperson. Also the OPM officials, I observe your presence, the commission, representatives of various federations and unions, all protocols as already observed. Yeah, before I move on to my slides, I would also love to tender my apology today before I continue. I've picked some spelling errors or typing errors on the presentation, just when I read now, but I will read it the way it's supposed to be, because it's my product. So thank you very much. To start with, introduction. Parliamentary Standing Committee on Economy and Industry, Public Administration and Planning for public hearing on parliamentary motion. That is today's date, as you see it there. This presentation represents TUN and PSUN position, and it's mainly centered around the questions for number 5 as put on the invitation. And that is what we were supposed to comment on. Number 1, what caused the high level of debt for households, especially civil servants? So I guess I'm one of the victims as a civil servant. Namibian civil servants' salaries are not commensurate with their needs. That's one. Inflation. Rising prices make it harder to cover for expenses without borrowing. Unexpected events such as illnesses, funerals, or family crises may force civil servants to borrow money. Supports to extended family, which increases their financial burden. Consumer spending, Purchasing vehicles, furniture on credit leads to debt obligations. Lack of budgeting and savings result in excessive borrowing. Difficulty in managing repayments. Taking new loans to repay existing loans create a cycle of debts. Some micro-lenders don't require creditworthiness. They just give. So there's no control as to how much you should take or your limit is. Namibia is experiencing a high cost of living associated with tax and high cost of utilities such as water and electricity, and even other costs related to living in urban areas in Namibia. Namibia lifestyles, which to a great degree are comparable to the lifestyles of neighboring countries such as Botswana and South Africa, are very low encumbered by high rentals costs and food. And in comparison to our said neighbors, Namibia lacks financial literacy. Namibians are also deliberately exposed to easy access to lending institutions which are themselves assured of 100% repayment rates through the use of the deduction codes. Banks, microlenders, and retail stores offer loans on credit facilities to salaried employees because their income is considered stable. Further to the above, spending, especially for people like teachers, is also used in the execution of functions that should otherwise be the responsibility of the state. You will find, for example, that the principal or a teacher, say for example an HOD, transporting wares in their own vehicles without appropriate or fair remuneration for such function, especially in town. I don't know whether I should elaborate on that or I should just read. What we mean here is that, for example, myself, I'm a principal at the school, as I'm talking now. And in most cases, when you are in town, there's no kilometer rate. So therefore, you see it as a shorter distance to go and do errands for the school. But then you end up, accumulating those kilos. You end up wearing out your vehicle also without any appropriate compensation for what you do or reimbursement. So you actually overwork your vehicle for free, whereas it's supposed to be the responsibility of the state, because the work that I'm doing is for the school and the school is for the state. So in essence, there exists a culture of covering up for responsibility of the state by principals or teachers in general. So we are done with number 1. 2, is the deduction code an enabler of high debt among civil servants? Lenders are willing to grant loans because repayments are automatically deducted from salaries. No risk of default payment. That is now due to the deduction code that is allocated to those lenders. And I found that as part of the discussion here when I arrived, deduction codes. Several loans are deducted simultaneously, leaving little take-home pay. So employees are paying different loans at the same time. But when you add up these amounts, it becomes way too much and may even exceed the 1/3 that is stated in the Labor Act. Due to low take-home pay, civil servants take additional loans to cover living expenses, which indebts them further. If payroll controls are weak, it leads to overcommitment that consume a large share of their income. So there should be payroll control there to avoid civil servants to indebt themselves further or more. The way government manages the deduction code is in contravention with Section 12 of the Labour Act 11 of 2007. So I think that is subsection 2, supposed to be there, that states how much should be taken from the employee's salary, the limit thereof. If it was correctly implemented, like the situation in Botswana, for example, the emphasis of granting it would be for the benefit of the employees themselves and not to enrich the third party or groups. By its, this typing. The deduction code should be used to benefit solidarity economies, such as cooperatives or membership formations, such as trade unions, but they are denied the amenity. Okay. In Namibia, it is used to enrich a few well-placed capitalists and not the masses of the people from whom the recourse is sourced from in the first place. In Namibia, there are many micro-lenders, but many of them do not have the deduction code. Only a few well-connected ones are accorded the deduction code over the vast numbers who do not have, meaning that only a few have, the majority don't, but they do lend out money. But they are equally deserving of having them. I don't know whether I should elaborate on that last one, or should I just continue? Feel free. Yes. With the last one, the last bullet there, only a few, but are equally deserving. Okay, that one. Some of the unions, especially the unions I'm representing, they also sought for assistance with the deduction code, but they never got it. I know of PSUN, they have it, but TUN, we tried, but we never got it. We don't know what is or on which condition was that, but we tried, we never got it. So this is what we mean by that, by the last phrase. Three, is the current regulatory framework adequate to protect households against predatory lending practices? Many households obtain personal loans easily, leading to overborrowing. That's one. Because even the unregulated ones, the informal micro-lenders, they just give. So it's easy. Many households commit their salaries to debt repayments through Many households commit their salaries to debt repayments. Let us end there. This one does not make sense. Yeah. The fact that many households are overly indebted, it justifies poor protection of households by our regulatory framework. So the civil servants are not protected. That's why they are heavily indebted. Where is the protection supposed to be? It's supposed to be with the lenders, money lenders. The control should be there. We know that it's the civil servants who go by themselves there and take the money, but if the regulatory framework is properly monitored or implemented, it may prevent, over accumulation of the debts. In fact, the current regulatory framework supports the concentration of wealth in the hands of a few. That is, those were the deduction codes now. It does not encourage the distribution of wealth towards the masses of the people. 4, I think is the last one on the questions from the invitation. Is the interest rate charged by microlenders to civil servants fair? This is a question, the answer to which we all know too well. Interest rates at 37 and above are way too high. It is possibly because of this insane interest that microlenders are known as loan sharks. That is what they are called out there, the informal name for the microlenders. They are called loan sharks. And we know what a shark is. So the interest rates are too high, that it led to that name. The necessity to regulate interest rates cannot be overstated in this country. Borrowers with limited financial resources may become trapped in a cycle of borrowing and repayment. High repayments of loans leave insufficient income for basic needs. So all the money goes into loan, the basic needs are there, but they cannot be serviced because there's no money. Loan sharks have taken it. A few recommendations here. The regulatory framework should ensure that there is stronger affordability assessment. I really put my emphasis on that one. Stronger accessibility, affordability assessment. The regulatory framework should strongly protect households from falling the victims of unnecessary debts of loan sharks. All civil servants should take 2/3 of their take-home salary home. Banks should minimize their debit orders to not more than 1/3 of the client's salaries. Financial literacy is strongly required. Trade unions, cooperatives should be allowed in the housing or property markets, as this eventually benefit employees or civil servants. Advise civil servants to take loans for income-generating projects, such as small businesses and property for renting and so on. Just an example. You know, we have people who take loans and then it's a big loan that is taken, which is a bit almost difficult to pay back, but that loan does not generate an extra income to this civil servant. And that is why most of the civil servants today, they struggle to repay because there's no extra income. And the money is already used up. Introduce social banking. For example, Grameen Bank in Bangladesh. This bank is more focused on both profit and is more profit and projects oriented. And we know how much we make out of projects. I know it's slow, But once it's well established, you can get a lump sum from projects. So that is why we encourage that also. And I think that goes with, again, with the previous one, where I say it should be used on income generating projects. In conclusion, I didn't want to give you too much of sentences that you get tired to read or story in my conclusion. It's very short, and I have an attached there. Debt is the worst poverty by Thomas Fuller. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much, Mr. Chituka, again for that comprehensive presentation, presented in a very simple way. So we apologize for taking you away from your school.
Yeah, it's fine.
But it's the, like you said in your concluding remark, that is a serious problem, and it's a serious problem affecting your members. Yeah. And our fellow citizens. So we appreciate the fact that you are here. Yeah. So colleagues, that's we have heard from Mr. Chituka. So we can now have a chance to ask questions. Yes, Honorable Venani.
Just as a historian, I note your names, but 7 generations before you, the man of which the surname you are having, Chituka, is a son of Shandero. Now I'm hearing your name is Shandero Chituka. In fact, you must thank your elders for having given you that name, because Chituka is a son of Shandero.
Thank you.
So you are holding a great name.
Thank you.
Be that as it may, you raised a very important point, and that is the labor law in relation to capping the amounts that needs to be deducted, and that the law is not implemented. What I want to know from you, Mr. Chituka, is the fact that you are a union. How are the unions, yourself and other unions, fighting the system to make sure that that law is implemented? Because if there is a capping amount in the labor law, and then that law is not being implemented, surely there must be an opprobrium being raised by the unions. How effective are you raising it? That's one. 2, whom do you think is a culprit by not implementing this law? Is it the Minister of Labor, or is it the Minister of Finance, who is not implementing the law to the letter so that we save our people? That's my only few remarks.
Let me note then.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I want to focus on solution, and I have one question. What financial redress or debt relief program is the teachers' union currently offering members to break that cycle? Thank you.
Yeah, mine will also be short. Thank you for the presentation, Mr. Chituka. I wanted some statistic, if you know the percentage of your members who are affected by this problem. And what is almost like my colleague asked, what are the, do you have specific program to educate your members on how to manage their finance? The third one, Chairperson, I heard from the ED, I don't know when the ED was doing the presentation, if Mr. Chituka was here, he talked about an initiative by OPM where civil servant can borrow money within a program which is to be managed by civil servants themselves. Are you aware of that? And was your union also involved when Prime Minister initiated this program?
Maybe you can repeat that one, Madam, again.
I think when the ED was doing a presentation, maybe the chairperson can help me out, or my colleagues. Yeah. He said there's a program where members civil servant can borrow from a fund which is within, or it is being managed by the Office of the Prime Minister or civil servant themselves. Now, I wanted to know if your union is aware or your members are aware, and did the Prime Minister's office engage you when they developed this initiative? Thank you, Chair.
It has not really taken off because the membership has not really increased. I think last time when I checked, there were only few people who were members. So she's asking whether you are aware of NAMSACO, because the idea was that if the civil servants have their own cooperative, maybe they are not going to be ripped off. I think that was the idea. So trying to find a solution to civil servants being ripped off in the sense that they are paying high interest and things like that. So yeah, she's asking whether you are aware of that. Yeah, I will come back.
Maybe I should attend to the first, how many questions? 4. That is the Labor Act. Honorable Venani. Oh, sorry. The Labor Act by Honorable Venani, who should implement it? The Labor Act speaks to the limit. The limit when it comes to money lending to civil servants. So the Labor Act is actually applicable to those involved in lending out money, and also to the ministry. All stakeholders should be responsible. So the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Labor must equally embrace this Labor Act. The Ministry of Labor is the custodian of the Act. The Ministry of Finance is now the one to apply what is in the Act. So therefore, the focus is mainly on the Ministry of Finance. Literacy program by unions. Let me say, we don't have a program per se as unions that we say that is on a calendar, a year calendar, to say that on this day we visit these schools or these institutions for financial literacy. But at our events, remember that the unions are non-profit making organizations. So we don't have the capacity to carry out some of these kind of activities because it requires a lot of money. Traveling across the whole Namibia, where your members are, to capacitate them or to train them on how to handle finances and budgeting and all these things. So it is really beyond our control. But the will is there. That is why whenever we are at our congresses or any other event or whenever we visit schools also, because there are instances where we just visit schools for membership as well as for this kind of training, financial literacy, and also to disclose our benefits to all our members so that they know that once you're a member of Teachers Union of Namibia, these are the benefits, apart from representations and all that. Other benefits like funeral benefits and all that. So it comes, we also incorporate something to do with financial literacy. That is, so it's informal, but it's there. Thank you. Percentage of members indebted. So far, one cannot say we have conducted that research to know exactly how many members are indebted. again, it's not that easy, because we only have, the members' details, but we don't have the members' pay slips. So, again, I don't know, the employer there is now OPM. I don't know whether OPM, by law, as we know that pay slips are confidential, by law will be able to feed us with that information should we approach you, given the confidentiality of handling somebody's salary or pay slips. But in fact, the answer is simple. We can't tell how many, but we assume there are quite many. And that is why we are here today. It's like a national outcry that civil servants are heavily indebted. And we're here now seeking answers to that indebtedness. Thank you. There is also something on NAMSACO. Yes, here and there we had it. We are familiar with it. But, when cooperatives like these ones are established, we also need to have a proper advocacy so that it becomes well known, not only to the unions, but even the beneficiaries, which is the civil servants themselves, because this is for the civil servant. Yeah, but we are aware of it. But we can't tell how far it has progressed. And I rightly heard already from Mr. Shimi that it did not really go far, since the membership are not really, promising. Yeah.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. As a trade unionist leader yourself, representing the teachers, currently teachers, when they are coming to their centers, headquarters, regional headquarters, whether for workshop or whatever training, they drive. As you rightly stated it yourself, principals, whenever they're coming to the regional headquarters, they make use of their own transport. The region where I come from, Kavango, the farthest district, Mokwe, covers 200 kilometers to Rundu. Going and coming back is over 400. And they're making use of their own transport whenever they come to the regional headquarters. Even if they are to develop maybe a curriculum or some make some reforms in Okahanja, the ministry will only provide transport to them to bring them to Okahanja and pay for accommodation and meal. No subsistence allowance is given to the teachers. What are you saying as a leader representing those people? Lastly, you spoke about the deduction code, which you said it is only accessible to few individuals and others are not having access to it. How does it impact on your people whom you are representing, the deduction code? Thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
May I perhaps attempt those two, because they are a bit long. Yeah.
Can I give you a third one that you can attempt?
Okay.
Thank you, Chair. Now, mine will be brief. Thank you, Mr. Shituka, for your presentation. Mine is particularly drawn to the slide where Teachers Union, I believe, perhaps have done some research or benchmarking against best practices. And I referred to the point in your presentation when you spoke of Botswana and what Botswana is doing to manage this situation. So I wanted Mr. Shituka just to share more with us as a committee around how Botswana is managing this particular situation. You also referred to social banking in your presentation. Being a teachers union, obviously your responsibility as a watchdog or umbrella body is to advocate, to advise, and also to recommend, and particularly in the spirit of best practices again. Social banking in the Namibian context, how have you taken that up to see whether it's something that is doable? Does it fit within our space? If the social banking, for instance, is not something that we can do here, what characteristics can financial institutions take from that concept that you are referring to help improve the plight of the members you represent? Those are my questions, Chair.
To go over to you.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Let me respond to the first question. That is transport, S&T, from maybe the duty station to head office. I believe the gentleman misquoted me there, because I said it's when you are doing errands for the school in town. That is the school that is in town. But the moment you travel from your duty station to another town for a certain event, be it a meeting or a workshop or whatsoever, the S&Ts are there. But it depends on how they do it. Suppose it's during a holiday where teachers are scattered, but this event is placed in a holiday, it's taking place in a holiday. There they will give you a certain rate, let me say particularly rate 1, so that you provide your own fuel. Because these people are not at their duty stations. Mr. Shituka is in Oshituo, and then Mr. Hu is in Korihas. So that is why they do that, when it's in a holiday. But during the working days, where all staff members are at schools, they would say, we offer you transport, we offer you accommodation, we offer you food. And then they just send a bus to pick staff from various points. But then they might say they don't pick at every school. They will indicate a central point for pickup. So if I'm at a village school, a few kilometers outside Okahanja, maybe Novitoto, I will then travel to Okahanja. And then I'll be picked with those from Okahanja. Someone from Oshidondo will travel to Okahanja. That will be the pickup point. But then those kilos you traveled from your school or your village where you work to Okahanja, that one they would normally advise that you also, that the school fuel your car using a certain rate as regulated, not like any. You follow the documents there. There's treasury instructions, there is guidelines for we need to the one that talks about $7.15 for the management above, for the civil servants above the management kata. I think we are all aware of that one. And then for the below management kata, you will be paid per the engine capacity. So when I looked at that one, it says something about what will happen if your car is involved in an accident. So now that is a very important part also, because you use your car in Windhoek, you are doing school work, and your car is bumped by a taxi. What will happen? Will the ministry take the responsibility for my car? Or is it like it's your own business? So I need your response on that one. And I think it's regulated somewhere in, there's an act of 1941, if I'm not mistaken. If you go to the DSA forms, you will find it. You can already maybe retrieve it. Yeah, so, but I need an answer to that one. That is why we are raising this concern. Deduction code, the impact on our members. When you listen to my recommendations, you can see that, or let me just say this. The deduction, the impact of the deduction code to our members, you know, everything has a disadvantage and an advantage. And I still freshly recall that when I came into the conference room here, I found my honorable talking about the deduction code. I think if I did not misquote him, saying that they should just go away, the deduction codes, because it's because of the deduction code that the civil servants are indebted. But on the other side, the moment these people make arrangements, the lenders make arrangements with the bank, we also know what will happen. Some debts will not be repaid. That's one. They will not be repaid. If I know I'm paying today, and the moment a debit order is delayed or something happens, I will withdraw all the money, and that will be in arrears again. And in the end, I might lose my property for lack of payment or for not honoring my loan. My things will be solved because I'm not paying my loan. So that is now the disadvantage. The only advantage for the deduction code, the impact, that is one. But another advantage is that with the deduction code, it's hard for the borrower to escape payment because this money is deducted from the payroll. So it's hard. So that is one advantage. But I mentioned here that our unions are also applying for these deduction codes because we have our members. And the moment we get these deduction codes, our interest, because it's now a union to member issue, they might also be controlled in such a way that they cannot cause a financial burden to our members. We might also, since that we are, we have the Labor Act that clearly states how to handle this, to control loans. We might also ensure that we are in compliance with the Labor Act of 2007. So, in fact, the deduction code can impact or may impact members in many ways, either positively or negatively. Like at the moment, most civil servants who are deducted through deduction codes they pay up their loans without any hindrance. Those who are paying without deduction codes, sometimes they lose their credit worthiness because of lack of payment or repayment. So that's it. On the issue of Botswana, I did not come with the documents here to really provide to you. And you know, if we have documents at hand, you wouldn't want to say much about it, otherwise it may vary from the contents in the documents. So, but once you allow me, because we are here now, and we might exchange, we already have contact details. We will furnish you with what we discovered there on black and white so that we can be accurate on information. So I will pick that one for now. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Shade with her. You have my number as well.
Very much.
Yeah, so you can also just shade with me. Then all the members would have access to those documents. Okay. Did you cover all the questions?
I did.
I think you did.
And I think there are no other questions.
We are here to have a conversation.
Because I was very clear.
Okay, now there are some further questions.
Yeah, no, they are welcome.
Yeah, no, we are engaging. And
no, it's good.
The engagement is really to get solutions to this problem.
Yeah.
And obviously, Mr. Chituka, obviously you are not the bank, you are not the regulator, but obviously you have that legal and moral obligation to defend the welfare and the economic interest of your members. I think that one, it's on these grounds that we should engage deeply on some of these things. Now, with these obligations, I think as a union, the aspect of engaging, the regulators and the government in this aspect of these high debts. Have you, as a union, engaged on this aspect? Because, and it's very good that you are a principal, you encounter these situations, more especially from the field, because the records are showing that most of our teachers are really suffering from this aspect. In the situations that TUN and PSUN, have you engaged the regulators on this matter? Because we are now addressing it as a motion that came on the floor of Parliament. Was there any engagement that has taken place to address this problem that really our people are suffering from? And if there was any engagement, either with the members themselves or with the regulators and the government, what came out? What is there anything that you can update us? Because this is empowering us as members of Parliament to strengthen the legislations. That's why we are here. Now, the other one is on mental wellness or mental well-being, that or mental illness that might have caused by over-indebtedness, as the word is pronounced. You being in the field, as a unionist, as a principal, do you have any encounter of this in a situation where really our people are mentally, drained by this situation? I just want practical situation just to enlighten us as members of Parliament so that we are well informed about this as we are tackling this matter. The last one is, I'm also a trained teacher and I have been teaching as well. However, in when I was at the University of Namibia being trained, there was nothing on financial literacy. I can't remember being taught how to do budgeting, just general financial literacy. Now, that means that the curriculum that is producing us, at a certain point, probably we can as well tackle it. Is it sufficiently training some of these soft skills that allows us, or allow, people to easily perform and fit in the systems where we are finding ourselves? What is your comment on the training or the training of our civil servants, being teachers in this situation that we're talking about, that are they fit to handle this issue of financial literacy in terms of the training itself? Do possibly we need to also look at the curriculum that is producing them, and generally even, not only them, generally, because we must look for sustainable solutions. Even if a dropout, grade 12 dropout, and find himself working at, not only as a public servant, or even if as a public servant, as a cleaner, is our education system really preparing us, even the basic education system? Is it adequately training and teaching people on financial literacy, really, that we kept this from the grassroots and where it's coming from? Those are my intervention on this one. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much, Dr. Shituka. Mine, I think, questions and inputs. Things are changing, I think, every other day. And you, as unions, you also need to fight to remain relevant and be able to address the generational gaps that you have as far as members, your members are concerned, especially the younger people. You need to, even though few remains unemployed, you need to pull them so that they become members, so that they are protected. What are the strategies in place on your side to reform yourself, so that you remain relevant at this hour with issues that we are looking at as of 2024, our household debt was at 68 billion. That's just public servants. It's a serious number. And if you look at Lesotho, for example, they had loans at around 110,000, which gave them a loan book of 5 billion, I think. 5 billion. It's a very serious number. But then you look at issues of your members in urban areas and rural areas. Urban, they have access, but their challenges continue growing. Even now, we now have medical aid, for example, CIMAS, with the K500 that was added on. It got swallowed up. Now they must add on top. If you have dependents, you have to go in your pocket again so that you are able to afford. We also have a law, I think, of proposing for consumer protection, 2018 or so. So all these things, how are you reinventing yourself to be able to address these things, and not only to wait for when there is a problem and then you say, let us go on the streets, but to continue engaging government and the likes of NAMFISA so that we are able to fight some of these things. The cost of living is going up. Somebody was even telling me that yesterday that this week that the milling guys, when they are buying maize to go and make cooking, Yeah, to buy to buy white maize here is more expensive than buying from South Africa. But then when it comes to quality again, the maize produced at home produce less output compared to what they get from South Africa. So hence I'm asking now, because all these problems, challenges, the unions at this hour should be in a position to have an understanding so that we are able now to engage one another to be able to address, because life is expensive and all that, and it seems the unions, you are also not preparing yourself to be able to fight a better war. Even now, FNB yesterday came out fighting the Prime Minister. That no, if the cost is somehow challenged, many people will not be able to afford. As a union, I think with the young people also, we are able to be available, to avail ourselves and engage and clap back. That comes now with serious preparedness, proper understanding of how this capitalistic environment works and all that. So my question is just focusing on that to say our problems are many. And I think for the unions, it's much more better to have more soldiers from all corners to be able to fight these capitalistic tendencies so that we provide more protection for our members, for our workers. Because if we don't do that, it becomes a problem. The other one is also just to, as I said earlier, young people. What is the strategy again also to make sure that they are joining, they are engaged, and for them to also see the value of belonging to an union like TUN in modern today, since the older generation is also phasing out, which is also contributing to your decline in having that power, because some are retiring and so on. And then young people, they feel you are not really representing them. And I feel you need to bring them on board. But also the strategies of labor unions need to change in modern Namibia, in modern today, because problems continue becoming more sophisticated. Thank you.
So Chituka, you have a number of questions to answer.
Yes,
so,
I see.
Yeah.
I'm busy noting. I'll come now.
Okay. Well, take your time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How many questions? Oh, 5. 5. But it's fine. It's fine. They are more than welcome. Yeah. Engage laws. The first question, I think, is not that very clear. The one that talks about engaging laws or something. It was from who? Yes. Can you clarify that one again? The very first one.
Yeah. No, mine was on, have we engaged the regulators?
Yes.
Or the government in this aspect? And what if the engagement was done on this aspect of lending, what were the outcome possibly? Because we still then have this challenge. And also possibly have we also engaged our members on those that are affected by this indebtedness?
Yes. This one is an infant executive that started only this year. So I don't say because we are new in office, we are entitled not to know anything. This is not what I'm saying. But, as you are new in office, you gradually get to know things as time comes by. We are only 5 months now, yes, in office. So therefore, I don't want to say anything that may contravene or go against what actually happened. So therefore, I want to pick some of these questions because I noted them so that once I go to office, I engage further with the comrades at the office and come back to you. Because now it may be that during the previous tenure, during the tenure of the previous executive, they may have done something. And it may have been also maybe an oversight that I did not, consider looking into that, to that question specifically. And if that question was formed part of the questions to which I made my presentation, I could have fairly attended to it. Good. Mental health caused by debts. That is another one. I would really say yes, but unfortunately, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a social worker. I do not have, the know-how on how to diagnose whether a certain teacher, due to massive or too much deductions, is suffering from mental health or not. That I can't tell because it's a serious risk to say that because it's not within my profession or whatsoever. But I can speculate and say that it may be true because the moment, if you put yourself into the shoes of the next person, I'm well off, another person is sitting with a lot of debts. I take that and I put myself into the shoes of this gentleman. Then I'll see how it feels. And for now, I would say the mental health, it's highly affected. Their mental health is highly affected by over-indebtedness because there's no way you live a healthy life. There's no way you relax or you be productive the moment you have financial problems. It cannot be, even though I'm not an expert in that area. It cannot be. Because even myself, I may have been at one or other point in the same predicament. And learning from myself, I would say, yes, it does contribute to their mental health, unhealthy mental health. Yes. Financial literacy at university level. Good question. If I was 25 years today, I could give you the most appropriate answer. But now I'm turning 55 in November. I graduated from the university before 2000. And, the curriculum was way different. And in our time, we were never taught any financial literacy to say that we are training this teacher, and the moment he, assumed duty, he must know how to handle his salary. There was no such thing. We were not trained in that way. So now I cannot really say that teachers of today, they are trained in that way. But I think it's work for thought. It is now again our duty to perhaps liaise with the universities and discover how the training is being done. And also to advise that teachers be trained on financial literacy also. Because the moment this teacher is heavily indebted and is stressed, there's no way he's going to be productive. He won't teach the way he's supposed to teach. He won't work the way he's supposed to work. He might not have time to even attend to his learners properly. And then even the interrelations between the learner and the indebted teacher might also be sour, because this learner is engaging with someone who is not in this world. So I think this is just a comment as I earlier on said, I cannot really say there's such training or not. But since that you said you are also trained as a teacher, and by the look, I believe you are way younger than me, maybe you can shed light on that. Yeah.
No, he said he was not trained.
Not trained? Oh.
As a teacher.
Oh, he was not?
Yeah.
Oh, then it is our duty now as unions, it's like a homework you gave us to advise through linkages with the universities for them to also look at that aspect, since that it's a matter of concern. Yeah. This question again, the one on engage NAMFISA to protect members, I think this one is the same as the very first one. So my response is just the same, because they are just the same. It's just that they are different questions by listing, but the content is just the same. Strategy for members to join TUN. They feel we don't represent them. We have a lot of strategies in place for members to join Teachers Union of Namibia. And I can tell this gathering that TUN is doing much for its members. We do much for our members, especially with representation, especially in time of bereavement, where they lost their families and so on. We do something to assist our members. And I think that is a good gesture to enable these young teachers to join the union. There's a lot we do. When our teachers are, at hearings and so on, we represent them. As I'm talking now, there's a team that already went out to represent some teachers in their cases. So, and that is that one is our predominant role as the union, is to represent, is to look at the wellness of our teachers, especially in terms of unfair labor practices. And then the other one is the well-being of our teachers. When they lose family members, there's a certain money, a portion of money that we give them to undertake the funeral of their loved ones. We also give a voucher, groceries. So these are some of the things, to mention but a few. But there are quite a lot that we do for our members. So, and those are, I think, the strategies you asked, those are part of the strategies that we apply in order to draw members to the union. Thank you.
Very good. So I believe that also brings us to the end of our discussion with Mr. Chituka. So we want to thank you once again for making time to really come and share your views on these very important subjects. We will look forward if you have additional information. For instance, there was a document that you may have in your possession, which you may enrich our discussion here and also the recommendations on the way forward. So if you can retrieve that document and you can share it with her, we'll really appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Shimi. This is a good opportunity. Just press.
Just press.
Yeah, this is indeed a very good opportunity. We don't feel threatened when we are called to this kind of, presentations, but we feel we learn more, we exchange ideas, and we feel we impact your work with what we present to you. And we believe that it's taken note of. I don't think what I've presented here, it is just a presentation. I believe it's noted, and it's noted for consideration. So therefore, it is worth coming, and it's fruitful also for me as an individual, because I did not just present, through the questions and through the other engagements that I found underway when I arrived, I also grasped something. So thank you for inviting me and continue doing that. It's just that you restricted me to those 4 questions. If I was given an opportunity to say more, I would have gone more and even out of the scope, just to say what I think is relevant, not only on this matter, but on any other matters. Yeah. But anyway, thank you very much, and I kept to myself to what I'm told to present. Yeah.
Absolutely, we are there to build Namibia together. So we are all in the same house, and therefore we can only make progress as a country if we all listen to each other, have a dialogue, and agree on what needs to be done to strengthen our, programs that is going to help our people. Ultimately, what we care about is the well-being of our people. I'm sure, and we believe that that's why you are here, because you care about the well-being of Namibians. Thank you very much. And for the members, Rochelle, do you want to ask a question? So I actually wanted to conclude because you are coming next week. Yeah. So okay, you can say something before I.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to make a few remarks, Mr. Chairman. I will be very short. And yes, we will be here next week. We are looking forward to that. The first thing that I wanted to mention, Mr. Chair and members of the committee, is that a lot has been said about the financial literacy of our borrowers, specifically our civil servants. In that line, I just want to mention that the Financial Literacy Initiative, FLEE, they are currently in the process of drafting a policy that is called National Policy on Financial Education. And in terms of that policy, we've also contributed as the Microlenders Association of Namibia, because we are also a member of FLEE. Now, in terms of that policy, they are recommending that financial education is actually embedded in our curriculum, in primary school level, secondary school level, and even up to tertiary level. They also extend it to teachers. So for each level of society in Namibia, they actually say that it must be embedded with us from a very, very small stage. Honourable, just to latch on to what you were asking. The other thing is that there's always this reference to loan sharks. As the Microlenders Association, we do not take kindly to that reference, because we feel that we are regulated by NAMFISA and our members are registered microlenders, and they always adhere to the rules and regulations of NAMFISA. Also important to note that I saw from Mr. Chituka's presentation, sir, that you were mentioning about interest of 37% being charged on your presentation. Now, that interest is totally illegal. In terms of what NAMFISA allow microlenders to charge is that if you give a loan between 1 month and 5 months, you can only charge a maximum of 30%. But that 30% is also not per month. It means that if you take a loan of $1,000, whether you take that loan over 1 month or 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, or 5 months, there is a once-off 30%. So if you take a loan of 1,000 and you indicate to the microlender that I want to take this loan for 5 months, then they can only charge that 30% once off. So they will charge it once off, that is 300 Namibia dollars. They will take the 1,300 Namibia dollars divided by 5 months, and then you will have a monthly installment. That is what we refer to as payday lenders. For term lenders that issue loans from 6 months up to 60 months, that is 5 years, they can only charge the average prime rate charged by commercial banks in Namibia times 2. They cannot charge more than that. So that was just a few things that I wanted to clarify. Also, microlending in Namibia quite huge. The figure that I saw from NAMFISA for end of September last year was 8 billion in terms of the outstanding value of the loan book. Of that, a term lender would typically give a loan of about 33,000 Namibia dollars, then repayable over an amount of from 6 months up to 5 years, 60 months. And then the typical loan then taken from a payday lender is about 4,000 Namibia dollars, and that is then typically repayable either over a period of 1 month up to 5 months. That was just remarks from my side, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much.
Very good, thank you. We're looking forward to engage you next week. So the micro-lenders associations are invited. Before you leave, Rochelle, you can get your letter from Namasiku there. I'm sure I was told that some of the letters have already been dispatched, but maybe just liaise with her before you leave, so that we can coordinate on the time when we are going to make your presentation. So
okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We look forward to engage yourself and your members. Yes. So, honourable members, so this brings us to the end of our engagement with those institutions that were given a time slot today to engage with us. The next engagement, public engagement, is next week, Friday, same time. So let's come on time. Once again, I want to thank you for being here, and I want to thank our presenters who came to talk to us, and I also want to thank members of the public who went to attend and witness this discussion. So you're also allowed to ask questions. So if you are in the future, if you want to clarify something or ask a question, do feel free to do so. And lastly, I want to thank the NBC for informing the nation. I believe these discussions were live. The public was following, Namibia was following, because this is really a national issue. It's a national dialogue. And therefore, we want to thank our public broadcaster, NBC, for helping us to inform Namibians. Thank you very much, NBC. With that, until next week, Friday, NBC is also invited, as of course, as usual.
Chairperson O'Brien next week.
O'Brien, yeah.